Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett, and free agency has started prior to the NFL draft, and the Raiders are making some big moves. They went out and got Gardner Minshew. Now, remember, they also had Aiden O'Connell, and prior to that had Jimmy Garoppolo. So they said, no, we're not rolling with Jimmy Garoppolo. We're going to roll with Aiden O'Connell under new head coach. What's his name?
Antonio Pierce.
Antonio Pierce. He does, an all right job, right? We're not, blown away by him, but we're not.
Hey, they like him.
They like
him there.
But they say, know what? Hey, we're going to go get out a veteran president whose mustache is a little bit more grown. We're going to go out and get Gardner Minshew. So now they have two quarterbacks, so some would deem backup level quarterbacks. I guess they're going to be competing for a starting job, maybe. Are they going to draft somebody? We don't know. There seems like there's a lot of quarterback issues or question marks happening right now in Las Vegas. Patrick, how do you make this out? And do you think that there is their quarterback who, for the long-term future at least, on their current roster?
Yeah, absolutely not. The guy's not there. But I tell you what is going to happen in Las Vegas. You're going to have an absolute battle, right? You bring in Gardner Minshew, who did he make a Pro Bowl?
I think he might be actually Pro Bowler, Gardner Minshew. We might have to double check that.
He's Pro Bowler. You know who else just made? Well, not just, but you know who else made a Pro Bowl? Mac Jones, and he just got a 6th round pick for him. So you gotta start playing the field, and you go, okay. Maybe Gardner can be the guy for this year. But I don't think they're ready to quit on Aiden O'Connell. There's one thing I know. He's got a stash that's up, willing for the challenge. It's 2 stashes, 1 job, 1 town. Lay your cards on the table in Las Vegas.
What's Jimmy Garoppolo doing these days?
Yeah, I'm told he's a pretty handsome fella. I'm sure he's figuring things out in his free time with his millions and millions of dollars.
Right, but is he going to play football this year?
No. I think the DC Defenders could add a guy like him, and he would go places. I mean, you'd probably take him on the Renegades.
But he's currently on the Raiders.
He's still on the Raiders?
I think
They're still paying him?
I don't know. Wikipedia says his current team is Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm not 100% sure.
No way. This guy's still... That's awesome.
So the Raiders don't have to release Garoppolo or Renfro till Wednesday. So they're going to so he's currently is on the team.
Oh, well, that's awesome for him. And especially in an economy, look, they say it's trending forward. I mean, that's what you do. You save the guy's job until the numbers have to come out with the guys you replace him with.
So that's a bummer. So unless they're going to actually keep him, maybe they keep Jimmy G, and then they're going to have like a kind of a 3-quarterback system, battle it out. Because last time I checked, when Jimmy G is the 3rd quarterback on the team and he's battling it out for the number 1 starting spot, you might just find yourself an all-time quarterback in the late round, maybe last pick of the draft. So that's a position as a franchise you want to be in. That's saying, hey, you're on the steps to getting to a Super Bowl.
And it tells you that you're going to make the conference championship, right? Now, you may go through a couple of guys in the injury process there, right? So like Gardner Minshew, unfortunately, you may have to take one for the team.
Right. So in this scenario, week 1, start
It would be Aiden
O'Connell.
Right.
Then he gets hurt. Start
Jimmy Garoppolo. Then he gets hurt. And you think you just bring in Gardner Minshew.
Right. But right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, they're going to figure it out. It seems like all good things are happening in Las Vegas. I'm hoping that they'll work things out. But I'll tell you what, the market's been interesting today, especially for running back position, Patrick. People are getting paid much more money than we thought they were going to get paid. Saquon Barkley got a bag with the Eagles.
Bag and a half.
And we're kind of surprised about that. And if you're the Giants, how do you think Giants fans feel right now? Because they don't pay him. They lose Saquon. They're obviously division rival gets him. Do you
Yeah,
think they're
but Josh,
like,
it's
hey,
okay.
we pulled a fast one on him, you guys overpaid way too much, or do you think that they're bummed out that they're going to have to play him now twice a year?
It's okay. Two things. Giants made sure they responded with a report of their own that they have been talking to a former Philadelphia Eagles running back to try to maybe get some revenge. That's right. I'm talking about Boston Scott. So Boston Scott may be linked to the New York Giants.
Right.
And you got to remember that the Giants, I don't even think they presented an opportunity to match Saquon Barkley. I think they may have had the opportunity, but they said, we're not even going to offer a matching contract. Saquon,
Whatever.
he's yours, Philadelphia.
Right. They've seen him in practice. They know what he's about. It does feel like having a guy like Saquon on your team, especially a team that operates like the Eagles, helps you. But we all have to remember allegedly the Eagles suck now.
They do.
So does it really matter? It
Saquon
seems like one garbage team to the next.
Yeah, which is a really unfortunate situation. And if you're New York, and I know they haven't agreed to the deal with Boston Scott yet, but there's nothing like bringing in a replacement of a guy named Boston. I mean, look, fans already hate Boston, so might as well just put it onto him.
Right. Okay, that's fair. I do think the Eagles. I mean, they're gonna have some success. We'll have to figure out what Nick Sirianni is. He a good coach? That's the question mark this year.
Well, but they get Big Dom back, and
Big Dom is going to be helpful for sure. He honestly, I think he should hold out for the payday, but that's my advice to Big Dom.
Especially because he's a bipartisan guy.
Right.
He's been through many different administrations.
Yeah.
So that's a guy you got to keep around.
I agree. But speaking of running backs who are doing a little flip-flop, and another alleged flip-flop would be happening from the Titans to the Cowboys because so the Titans just signed Tony Pollard, and that's great. He's a locked-in guy. He didn't even know that, a couple weeks ago that his offensive coordinator changed. Or no, sorry, defensive coordinator changed.
Yes.
Right? So Dan Quinn's gone. He doesn't even know. Did that influence their decision and that whole situation there?
Yeah.
Were they this guy doesn't pay attention to the details?
Yeah, that's a good point. But Josh, I mean, you're telling me that Derrick Henry, he's bought a home in Dallas. Is he preparing to maybe do the old free agency trade and end up down as a Cowboy?
I mean, that's what my sources are telling me. And
Josh,
it would be
you
an
got to
all-time.
imagine.
It'd be a very Cowboys thing to do to the one time they go and get a big free agent. It's a guy who was a big free agent. If he was a free agent, maybe 4 years ago.
Right.
And that's where I think the Cowboys are at. I'm not, and Cowboys fans are going to tell us he's still got juice in the tank and he's still really good. And I hope for their sake he is. I hope he's still got it. And he was linked to the Ravens for a couple weeks there. And if he had become a Raven, I would have convinced myself the same thing. But turns out Ravens have enough money to maybe get a couple of McDoubles at McDonald's in free agency.
They feel more like a Chick-fil-A franchise.
Well, I don't know if they're affording Chick-fil-A right now.
Yeah, that's true. With the inflation, that's true.
Right. And
Maybe,
also not open on Sundays. So
which is tough because
they need that
really,
availability, right?
Yeah. It's a difficult situation. You can't rely on it.
An all-time move that Mercedes-Benz Stadium built a Chick-fil-A in the stadium.
Well, but it's open on if there's a Monday or Saturday or Thursday game. You know what? You can go there.
It's just it's the best. But I do think that I don't know if this is the move the Cowboys wanted to make, but between maybe getting Derrick Henry and then also the Dak Prescott haircut, you see there's a lot of things changing. Which, by the way, did you see the comparison between Dak Prescott's? He got the haircut. He got the goatee. Jalen Hurts immediately gets rid of the goatee.
Well, that's a division rivalry at its finest, right? It's you see Dak Prescott, he goes, "Hey, I'm going to play a little bit of chess here." And Jalen Hurts goes, "Hey, I see this, but you got to remember we both didn't end the seasons the way we wanted to. So if we do a nice little flip-flop,
right,
we're back to MVP form."
Right. Now, I will say if you look at the Jalen Hurts without the goatee, he looks like a much more friendly, approachable guy.
You think that's probably the problem that AJ Brown was having? Do you think he probably wasn't connecting with them because of the facial expressions?
Now you get rid of that, and now we're all of a sudden the chemistry is going to be through the roof potentially.
And I'm hearing AJ Brown's happier than ever now.
Yeah. Speaking of wide receiver, trying to be happy, Calvin Ridley linked to a lot of places. He hasn't signed somewhere yet.
Hasn't signed anywhere.
Could be signed by the end of the show. Seems like these deals were pre-done. They're just waiting for the day to happen.
The new thing coming in now, Josh, is apparently the kicker Will Lutz. He earlier in the day had agreed to go into Jacksonville.
Right.
And now he's done the 180. He said, "Nope, screw the agreement."
Wait, can I figure out where he's going to go based on what? 180. Okay.
Yeah.
You spoiled it. I was going to guess.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Think about that though. With the air there, he's going to be kicking bombs.
Well, I mean, he was already there.
Yeah. Packers switch running backs. They go out and they get rid of Aaron Jones, who was very good.
Mm-hmm.
They bring in Josh Jacobs, who we're assuming is very good and just played on a really bad team last year because he had moments where he's very good. As a fantasy owner of Josh Jacobs right now, I'm feeling I like this move. But then they lose Bakhtiari, who feels like that would have been helpful to what they're trying to do. And we basically have ruled that Bakhtiari is going to be a Jet for sure now. Mm-hmm. But I guess Bakhtiari wasn't even really on the field that much anyway this past couple of years, so we don't really know.
First, I'd expect a little bit of a flirtatious behavior from David Bakhtiari. I'd expect him to probably end up on a podcast like Joe Rogan, probably with Aaron Rodgers. And I'll tell you what, hand up. I'd listen, I'd watch, but then it would be like it'd be a conversation where it's like, so are you guys going to link up for the fall? And it's like, we haven't even got there. We're just having fun being boys again. And then it's going to keep going. And then boom, by like July 10th, you can be like, David Bakhtiari. Yeah, man, I signed the vet minimum deal.
I mean, because he's made his money.
He's made his money. And obviously Aaron Rodgers took the same approach because he's made his money. And you saw the pay cut he took. Right.
And I think, listen, Jets are going to be an interesting team this year. I personally, I'm not sure how good they're going to be.
Where do you think Zach Wilson gets traded to?
Well, that's an excellent question. The question is, it's like, is he ready to be a starter again? Like emotionally?
If he gets traded to like Minnesota, I think that would be the funniest outcome.
That would, yeah. He's got to go back. I think the closer he is to Utah, the better he will play.
Oh,
because that's where
replace Kyler Murray
potentially. Because think about this, you look at Zach Wilson. I think I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I think people from Utah, it's kind of like a beacon in Minecraft. The closer you are, you kind of get those like special abilities, and so I think if he gets returns closer to Utah, he might start playing at a level that, we've seen before, we've seen glimpses of, but maybe on a more consistent basis. And so I think
the Broncos could just bring in Zach Wilson when they could have just kept Drew Lock.
Right. Now, Broncos, we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for them this year either.
We don't, because congratulations to Russell Wilson. You now are officially a Steeler. And I think, I honestly, genuinely believe, I think it's a good deal for Russell, good deal for the Steelers.
Great deal for the Steelers. They're only paying him like $7 million.
But do you know how funny it is that they've already given up on Kenny Pickett?
Right.
Like they said, you played so bad that there's no going back. Again, Josh, he peaked Sunday night against Tyler Huntley in his rookie year.
Do you think that Matt Canada is like really fuming right now? That he took so much heat.
Fire him?
And they never let the PR get that bad for Kenny. And then Kenny got replaced before he even could get dragged through the mud.
Oh, this is an awesome story. I can't wait for Matt Canada to get hired by like the Jets. And he goes in with Aaron Rodgers and he's like, told you guys, wasn't my fault.
Yeah, can you imagine? Mm-hmm. I think Matt Canada's got some juice in him. I think he could figure it out. But I do think Russell Wilson to the Steelers is like It's a good move for both parties. I don't necessarily know if it makes them that much better, but at the very least, they're moving laterally.
Right, 100%. And that's all you got to talk. Like, and what do you want to do in the NFL? You want to get positive momentum. Well, sometimes you're not going to get positive momentum, but you want to limit how many yards you go backwards. And I don't think they're going back at all. I don't think there's much room to go back in the first place.
No.
Like, you're already pinned at the 2-yard line.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, they didn't go back to the 1.
No, 100%. I'd say they maintained their ground.
Mm-hmm.
And they, at the very least, like, listen, they were going to have to potentially get in a spot where they were one day either going to have to choose to get rid of Kenny Pickett or pay him. Well, now they don't have to pay him. They get rid of him already. They, just rip off the Band-Aid early. And they have a guy his contract's literally being paid by another team.
You think Steelers fans today are telling themselves, they're like, hey, you know what? Bring in Russell for 2 years, and then boom, we throw Pickett back in, and he's learned.
Right. Oh,
he's ready to go.
Well, maybe, but Steelers fans are 100% watching, like 2013 Russell Wilson highlights. Like, and if by the way, if you guys Steelers fans want a treat, look at the weeks 1 through 5 highlights. You're gonna find some gems.
A lot of good ones.
A lot of good ones. There's gonna be some good gems in there.
There's a reason why we named the award after him.
Yeah. And so I think they're going to be exciting time. It's an exciting time to be a Steelers fan. I do, and equally exciting time to be everyone else, a fan of everybody else in the AFC North. Aside from, Ravens fans, we're having a little tough time right now.
We're still mourning.
We're kind of waiting for the draft, but
yeah,
it'll be good. We'll work that out. We'll figure that out. DeAndre Swift, he went to the Bears. Again, it's the Eagles. They upgraded Saquon. They lose Swift. Swift wasn't bad. He goes to the Bears. Bears, they had their guy Khalil. What is his name? Herbert. He never really broke out as something special, but again, a lot of their rushing yards was accounted for by the quarterback position. And is this them saying we're not expecting our rushing yards to be coming from the quarterback in the future? I'm not reading into this, but if we wanted to read into this, we could say they're trying to upgrade the running back because their running game is going to be shifting from position to position.
Yeah, but that's a tough situation because now you're putting out money for a running back that could be used somewhere else. And you're going, it's a head scratcher because that's probably saying, hey, we're not going to pay Justin Fields. We're probably going to trade him. And we're going to go a different route. But also you scratch the head and you go, well, we got to give Caleb Williams equity in the franchise. So how can we afford that?
To my knowledge, equity doesn't count against the salary cap.
So maybe it's an IQ 1000 play.
Well, what I think is interesting is the current NFL players are not allowed to have equity. But I do believe if you have equity before you enter the NFL, it's all right. So if he actually gets equity, it's going to need to happen before the draft night. And can you imagine can you imagine this? What if the Bears come out and say, we are not drafting Caleb Williams? And then the Commanders are like, we're going to trade up. We're going to what are they at? Where are Commanders sitting at right now?
2.
Oh, so they're at 2. So we're going to stay at the 2. We're going to give him equity before we draft him. And then he's going to be our quarterback. And then all of a sudden the Bears are like, psych, draft Caleb Williams. And now does Caleb Williams potentially have equity in multiple teams?
Well, it's no different. It's no different than you, Josh. Look, you are an owner of the Atlanta Braves, but you're a Baltimore fan at diehard. So it's a tough, but you know how to manage that.
I do. I keep the feelings business because you can separate business and your pleasure and your emotions. There's that work-life balance for sure.
Right, it's huge.
And so I think that's what he's going to have to potentially do. One side of him is a businessman, and the other side of him being a player. So I think that's
I'm happy we got that figured out for him. Yeah, that's
right.
Good.
But there's a chance that this could work out really sweet for him. Or what happens if nobody gives him equity? How does that look? That's a guy because then you could say, for instance, if I'm the Bears, right, and I'm thinking I'm going to draft Caleb Williams. he's a guy. What does he want? He wants equity. We're not going to give him equity. Well, now I'm thinking, oh well, I'm drafting a guy who can't get the things that he wants. So what if he wants to win? He can't achieve that. So
Well,
now
how
you're
about
the
this?
Bears. You're drafting a guy who can't get what he wants.
Well, what
you
if I was
didn't
just
give him
Bears?
equity.
What if I was just Bears ownership and I was like, look, we can't give you that big of a contract because you're on a rookie deal.
Right.
But I'm going to buy Progressive Insurance and you're going to be our new Baker Mayfield. And I'm just going to funnel money through the business there.
Right. Like they used to do before NIL.
Boom.
So, but now the flip side of this, the Bears do give him equity, and they're like, they get extra assured that Caleb Williams is the guy because on that scenario, Caleb Williams is the guy who goes out and get what he wants, and you've seen that because he got equity, and so then now all of a sudden, like you're drafting a guy you feel like is a home run, could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, you'd rather sell yourself on it or sell yourself against it.
Yeah, and I think some people are saying though, I heard an NFL exec say Caleb Williams not that good. He's like a 3rd round, 4th round, maybe 5th round pick. He said the tape's not there. Now I will say he didn't.
Got a feeling he goes 1.
He did not win anything in college, but he did have a couple of moments there, like when he paint the nails.
The nails,
right? That was a moment
where it was a big like F
something. We don't really remember. We don't remember what he said. It probably doesn't matter.
It was probably like Fun Utah.
Right.
Fun Utah.
Right. So we don't really know 100%, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. What the Bears do. Is their switch to Swift an indicator? I guess we'll find out progressively over time. We will see. Now, Patrick, this is the last thing we got to talk about. We got to talk about the Ravens here. We're both Ravens fans. We alluded to this in the show. We don't have any money. Ravens do not have anything. Now,
like actually, Josh, it was so bad until Friday. We had negative millions.
Right. Now, what is kind of interesting is we're seeing a lot of Ravens former Ravens actually become other players on teams.
It's generally how that works. Yeah,
they're not. But we're not re-signing them. But you'd argue you can't re-sign them because you don't have any money to give them.
Yeah, we may be the first team in history to just not 53 guys. Like we're going to send out our 34. We're going to have guys play 2 ways. And
now, granted, those 34 guys are going to be really good.
Yeah, like a really solid 34.
But the issue is that you're Patrick Queen linked to other teams. You're not getting him back. Unless you can convince him to stay on like the power of friendship, maybe with Roquan.
Yeah. Well, right, exactly.
I don't know.
Josh, I mean, it's so bad. Then, of course, they could have done stuff behind the scenes. We don't know. They could have restructured some stuff. But I think it's the money situation's pretty bad to the point where they can't even sign the draft picks.
Now, that is an interesting thing. So,
but they're going to get that fixed. I know they will. They will restructure because they can do that stuff. I know they can.
What if we're just like, okay, we don't have enough money? Because obviously, depending on where you get drafted, that's where that determines how much money you make. What if we're like, okay, we don't have any ability to pay like 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round draft pick, but we're going to trade those away, and we're gonna own rounds 4 and 5 and 6, and like we're gonna
have every pick. I want every pick.
Like we're gonna have every pick in the last round, all 32 picks in the last round, and we're gonna hope our guys out there still.
Right, because I'm sure they're looking at their board and they're going, I still got a 3rd round talent on this guy in round 7, and it's like, well, we got our guy.
Right, and that's I think that's the only thing I could really hope for, and we've been drafting pretty good of late. So
yeah, so that's fine. But in all seriousness, they'll get the money concerned. Like if there's a free agent they want, they'll figure it out. They'll maneuver the money around.
Yeah, they'll switch things up.
We trust them.
In EDC we trust. Although we're still sore about everything that happened last year.
Well, I would argue that wasn't really his fault. He kind
of he did his best. Yeah, we had a great roster. He
put a really good roster.
Really good. We'll never have something. It's impossible. Because think about it. By the time the guys we draft develop into what they got to be,
But
then
then
the
you're
other
talking
guys
years
are
down
going
the
to go.
road.
Like, it's just never going to. It's going to be.
It's like Lamar's like 27, 28 now. Like he's like in the prime of his career. So it's like, they'll get it figured out. We know they will.
So disappointing. Cool. What did I? Oh, Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. We didn't talk about that. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Kirk. I'm shocked that the Falcons didn't screw it up because they normally do. So
Now, does this help my Bijan Robinson stock?
I think so.
Right.
Because the whole offense doesn't, well.
I'd argue Bijan Robinson was the only good player on the team last year, and he didn't get the ball. So now I feel like it does hurt it.
You're right. Because I was going to say the whole offense went through him, but I was like, no, it didn't. So they'll spread the wealth.
That's the issue. Now, is he getting paid?
Yeah, he's getting paid like $45 million a year the first 2 years.
And who's he going to be throwing the ball to?
Well, he's got Drake London. Don't forget about Kyle Pitts.
Right, because Kyle Pitts, all-time great.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been told.
Top 5 pick. That's what he is.
Right. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Good. Hey, good for Kirk. Yeah. And that's the show, guys. Sweet. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Go to picksandpangans.com to read everything happening in sports. And yeah, I guess that's the show. We'll see you guys on Friday for another episode of Picks and Pain. Josh and Pat. And I'll tell you what, the NFL is probably gonna look a lot different on Friday than it does right now when we're ending the show.
It's gonna be wild when Zach Moss is a Raven and Greg Van Roten is a Raven. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a great time. Anyway, a peace.